Hi, my beautiful people. Welcome in. Thank you for joining me. I greatly appreciate y'all being here. I wanted to share something with y'all. If y'all watched my shorts, which by now I would think y'all have watched them by the time you come to this video. There was a card that I jumped out 3 separate times between me pulling other cards for the shorts that I did and even after. And I just thought this is wild, for this happen, the way it did, back to back like it did. And I shuffled this deck. And every single time I shuffled it, and I shuffled it several times, the same cards jumped out. And that card is, show yourself the love you show others. And I thought it was interesting because after I did the shorts, I was reflecting on a conversation I had with someone last night. So the irony of that card coming out, I just, it spoke to me. And I had mentioned in one of the shorts I did. But then I looked at the bottom of one of my other decks. It says, prioritize self-care. And it says, you do so much for others. It's time for you to experience the love you deserve and let others help you. And I thought that's interesting, because I know I've done a lot. I've given a lot of myself to this channel. And, and that's what I was telling the person I was talking to last night. But that's not all the cards that came out. I looked at it, one of my other decks, and this card was there, the bottom, boundaries. And that spoke to me too, because, what me and that person were talking about was about my boundaries. And it says, I'm assisting you in developing healthier boundaries so you may hold a sacred space for yourself. Okay? And the one underneath it, cutting cords. And it says, I'm cutting cords with people or situations to give you the space to healthily move forward in life. And so, I even pulled out another deck. That's a yes or no deck. And I got 3 yeses. I didn't get any no's. And I'll show you one of those cards in a minute. After I share, what that conversation was with my friend last night. I'm not going to share everything, but I'll just kind of give you a summary of what we had talked about. They were talking about how they missed me being out here regularly. And, the interaction with people, which I understand, and I miss it too. Okay, and I do miss, chatting with y'all. But I told them, I said, I can't, keep going around and pouring into other people's cups when my cup is going empty. I said, and I've said that to y'all on countless times. I can't fill up other people's cups if my cup's not being poured into. And that's what I made clear. And that's why I've done what I've done. Because I know the last couple of times that I streamed, the chat was turned off. There were a couple of reasons to that. One of the main reasons was I was doing a private reading, okay? So I didn't need to be focused on this screen. I needed to focus on the person I was reading for, okay? Which y'all could not see. And y'all could not read or hear them, okay? Only I could, okay? On my other device. And the reason why I did that was to showcase what I do, okay? To make it clear. I'm a, intuitive tarot and oracle reader. And my spirit team speaks to me and gives messages on top of the cards that I pull for people. And so I did it so I didn't worry about this screen. But still, as I said in the beginning, I'm showing y'all what it's like to get a reading with me one-on-one. Okay? And the people I read for wanted me to do this too. So that was the other reason why I did it. I wasn't going to do it without their consent. One of them actually made the suggestion. So that's why I did it too. And so it was for that reason. But it was also because, again, I can't pour into y'all's cup freely like that. I just can't do it anymore. I need to pour into me. People have to pour into me. So like I was telling the person last night, this is my business. I'm here to do intuitive psychic tarot readings for people. That's why I'm here. Okay, I've built this community, yes, and I understand many of y'all come, to hang out and chat. Okay, and that's all great, but because it's here, it takes a lot of energy for me to engage in that, and that's what I can't do. I just can't do it anymore, not freely. So I've cut off that access to me, which is all about this boundaries. And spirit is kind of forcing me to do it too with this. Okay. So, because I told the person I was talking to last night, they told me to make that clear. To make it clear why I'm here. That I'm not here to just hang out and chat. That if you want, my time, whether it's just to talk to me or to get a reading for me, you're going to have to pay for that time. And, I said, I don't want to be mean. They're like, I know it's not in you to be that way, but it needs to be said because it's the truth. People haven't been giving to you. You've given a lot. You've overextended yourself. And that person's not the only person who's told me that. I've had several other people tell me that. Okay, so understand me. The people who have been there, I know who you are. And trust me, if you think I forgot you, I haven't. Not one bit. I haven't forgotten you. And y'all know who y'all are. And y'all are the reasons why I keep coming back and doing this. But, it's been hard to do that the last, several months. And it's been costly to be here in more ways than one. It's been costly. I've neglected a lot of things, but I've neglected myself. But I've also neglected my loved ones who don't get to see me. I've missed a lot of special occasions, birthdays, dance recitals, that kind of thing. And I've even, still haven't made it to start practicing on a pool table. I still need to do that. And I need to get back on that bowling lane again. I miss doing that too. And, I have other things that have to be fixed first, like my car. So, you know, I have to really make sure these things get taken care of. And so I can't keep doing that if I'm just spending time out here, hours on end, and not getting paid. It's just not possible. It's not doable anymore. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. And that's what, the person told me last night, don't feel bad, for what I'm saying or how I feel. That I have every right, that people, need to hear this from me. So I'm trying to be, as respectful and kind and compassionate to y'all, as I can, as I have been. But now it's time for me to give it to myself. And it doesn't mean that I won't be out here in the future and have the chat open here or there, okay? But it's not going to be every time. And, and when it does happen, it's going to be when I implement something else that I've been working on. And I'm not telling y'all what that is yet. But when I'm ready to tell y'all what that is, I will let y'all know. So, for the time being, you want a reading from me? I'm available.